How's it going? My name is Colin Winters. I'm the host of A Panthers Place, and today we are going over the hiring of Buccaneers offensive coordinator Dave Canales as our new head coach. Now, this head coaching hire has fans happy, they have them angry, they have them confused, and that is mostly because, well, no matter what, we were going to have fans angry at the hire because we're at a point in our fan base where no matter what we do, whether it's a good choice or if it's just a good choice with question marks, our fans are going to act like it's the worst goddamn thing possible. But still, yes, there are a lot of question marks, and we are going to be having to ask a lot of questions moving forward about how this team will be built. You have many fans acting like this is the greatest hire and that we're going to go to the Super Bowl. You have fans acting like this is the worst hire in the world and that we are going to immediately go on the bottom tier list. We go winless next season. And you have fans that are just generally confused and, just wondering what the hell's going on in the front office. And all these, fair concern, fair assumptions, just excitement, disappointment, and confusion all around. And we're going to go over exactly how maybe we should feel and see what the bright side is, what some of the question marks and downsides could be, and just overall try to be objective. I'll let it be known immediately that my hoping for the head coaching hire was Ejiro Evero, and I have an extreme amount of hope that we'll be able to retain him for the defensive staff. There are a lot of good head coaching candidates out there, so hopefully maybe some team will be stupid and overlook him, and we are able to keep him as our DC for another year. But other than that, that's who I wanted to be the head coach. It didn't happen. I'm not going to hold it against Dave Canales because as a human and as a coach, he deserves me putting all my support behind him because he's the guy our team picked, and that is who I'm going to be rooting for to succeed in this upcoming season. It's also to point out that right now, most analysts love the hire for the Carolina Panthers, and of course, that doesn't mean too much because NFL analysts are really more just talking heads at this point. There's not a lot of real analysis going on in the mainstream NFL world when it comes to the media, and it's really disappointing, but there are some guys that I do have a lot of respect for that are actually going to be saying that this is a good hire and that they are excited to see what happens, especially with the Canales connection with Dan Morgan, who he spent 8 years in Seattle with. So we have a GM head coach connection that is invaluable in the NFL, and you have the fact that it is a young offensive mind who putting stock in young offensive coaches right now is like way overblown, but still we have that connection with now our QB Bryce Young, and hopefully we can get the best out of him. And speaking of QBs, the main reason that you see a lot of people excited about this is that Dave Canales seems to be a QB whisperer. He was the one who helped revitalize Geno Smith's career, and he was the OC who was calling plays and making Baker Mayfield look like a Pro Bowler. And now, just to play devil's advocate with those 2 points, though, I will also add that both Geno Smith and Baker Mayfield had top wide receiving cores around them. Their top 2 guys, of course, Geno having Lockett and DK Metcalf, and you have Baker Mayfield having Chris Godwin and Mike Evans. Those are great receiving options that you do not see in Carolina, but maybe that could change with this upcoming draft and free agent season, but who knows? That's a long ways away. Going back to the connection with Dan Morgan, after Dan Morgan was hired as GM, it was pretty much like most people were holding out hope that there would be a different hire if they didn't like Dave Canales as a candidate. But we started pretty much getting the idea that he would be the front runner because of the connection that those two have. And those two are hardy guys. They are guys who are not afraid to be gritty. Of course, Dan Morgan being a former linebacker in the NFL itself, playing for the Panthers. You're just going to see that these two may be able to build a nice gritty culture for Carolina. A culture that would match the fan base that we have that is currently deprived of any culture because of the fact that we have been sucky and just stagnant for so long. Many fans didn't want to go with a retread of an old coach. That's why a lot of people were a little bit apprehensive going after Vrabel because he was a recently fired head coach. They were getting, Frank Reich flashbacks. But it now seems that those same people are still complaining about the Dave Canales hire because he's a first-year offensive coordinator with not a lot of proof behind him, despite the fact that those guys were also really interested in Bobby Slowick for some reason. Anyway, I'm not trying to be facetious or anything. I'm just saying that, if you were excited about a prospect like Slowick, you should also be at least a little bit excited for a prospect like Canales being your head coach because those two resumes are very similar, taking one, a rookie quarterback, and making him look great, and then another, a quarterback that was a first overall selection, and making him look great after everyone thought he would just be an average bust. Now we can go ahead and look into, what could the offensive coordinator position look like for the Carolina Panthers moving forward? Because with Dave Canales, he's going to be able to make his own staff now. We'll have to see who he retains. If he's smart, he'll try to retain the entirety of the defensive staff because they were a top 5 unit, 4th ranked overall in the NFL, despite having 70%, and I did the math, it's around 70% of their starters injured at some point throughout the season. Just talking about that makes me realize how bad we were also hit with the injury bug in an already terrible season. But this new chapter into Carolina Panthers also brings just so many questions because we are now in a time where we have a brand new head coach, a new GM who has not been a GM anywhere else. He's been a part of scouting departments, but Dan Morgan has not been a GM anywhere else. He was an internal hire from assistant to now full. Now we have a head coach that has never been a head coach anywhere, going from coaches in the offense to the offensive coordinator, now to our head coach. We have no idea how this team's going to be built moving forward because of the fact that we have no precedence. You could think about exactly what Reich was going to do because he's been a head coach for a while. You could think about what fucking Rule was going to do because he said he was going to bring a lot of what he did at Baylor to Carolina. You could think about mostly any coach that we've had recently, and we could at least get an idea of what was being brought to Carolina. But now, the way the roster is being built is a huge question mark. And the way that we're going to do contracts is a huge question mark. Who we're going to pursue is a huge question mark. And even though I would love some answers, the fact that these are question marks not because we are sucking, but because we are making hopefully brand new moves to make us take us away from the brink of being the worst in NFL again next season, I'm actually pretty excited for that. There really isn't much farther for us to go down. We got 2 fucking wins. We could, yes, we could go winless, but we are at the bottom of NFL right now. There is nowhere to go but up. So why would you not at least try to put your hope and your power and your fan base behind the new guy? Just give Dave Canales a chance. He's not who I wanted, but I'm not going to be rude to him. I'm not going to act like he's the worst hire ever. We have an opportunity to do something great here. And hey, Mike McDaniel didn't get a look at from any other team besides the Dolphins when he was hired, and look at what he's doing. Maybe we got the next big guy, and hopefully with the reports coming out that both of those guys will be able to put Tepper in his place, we can actually evolve as a team instead of being essentially puppeteered by one man up top who likes to throw drinks on opposing fans. Of course, wide receiver is going to be a big need for the Panthers this coming offseason, and we have the opportunity to sign former Buccaneers wide receiver Mike Evans if they don't tag him or get a deal done. So with the connection with Dave Canales, maybe we bring in Mike Evans to, reverse the situation, have him butt-fuck the Buccaneers for once instead of butt-fucking us twice a year. That'd be nice, wouldn't it? We have a GM who's a player's GM. We have a coach with a young mind who's going to try to revitalize this team, and I'm hoping the reason that he was hired so quickly today was because he put forward a good plan for Bryce Young, and that is the biggest thing as well. Putting Bryce Young in a situation to actually do what he is best at, and that is win, improvise on the field, and make the throws we know he can make. It has been a tough few years, and we are now going with another swing at a new head coach who could or could not be the guy. But this time, for some reason, my dumbass brain is giving me a little bit more optimism than just Frank Reich. That's all I got for this video. Please just try. If you're very apprehensive against the hire, don't be mean to the man himself just because he's not the guy you wanted. Be a good human. Be a good fan. Just chill out a second. Take a deep breath. Not the guy I wanted either. But I'm going to put my support behind him because he is going to try to do the best he can for the team. So I will do the best I can as a fan to give him the support. Thank you all very much for watching, and I'll see you guys next time. Goodbye.